talking 5 of maybe not the best. I like, so for these tier lists, mostly the best. I wanted to throw in a couple guys that would maybe be worth a conversation, not necessarily super highly touted, and get some opinions from the group. This has 5, the other one has 6. So if you want to see part 2s on any of these by any chance, let us know. We'll talk about more, but we yap so much that if we were to put many more guys on it, these videos would be an hour, like the last one was when we talked about quarterbacks. So we're gonna get right into it. I have all the stats pulled up this time actually, so I can kind of maybe sound like I know what I'm talking about. So at least on my screen on the tier list, the very first man that we're going to be talking about really needs no introduction. One of the best players in college football this past season, finalist in New York. Some would say a snub for the trophy. Some people might say that. Ashton Jeanty became a household name this past year. Non-ball knowers might not have known him before, but he cemented himself in college football history pretty much. I mean, he had a pretty historic season. So yeah, I'll run down his stats real quick, and then we'll talk about where he fits. Oh, also tiers. So for running backs, bottom up, bust, back up, and then it kind of needed a midway point. So it's rotational piece, like give somebody a breather or a second option, RB1 or generational. And if you watched our last tier list, doesn't necessarily have to be anybody in generational. There could be no generational running backs in this class. However, if there's anybody that could be touted with that title, it might be this man. So in 2024, he was a workhorse for the Broncos, 374 carries. Excuse me, that wouldn't be very.
I was like, a game,
productive.
maybe.
Yeah, a game maybe. That would honestly be closer to the truth than if he only had 374 yards for the whole season, which is pretty crazy. But no, 2,600 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry, 29 touchdowns with a long of 77. And then I have a draft thing pulled up just to see the kind of general area that he's being talked about going. This website says top 5. So I looked at some other mocks earlier, probably top 10. First running back off the board. It depends on how well running backs are valued. In the NFL, it's kind of shifting towards not as much value and taking a guy super high. However, he will almost certainly be the first running back off the board. With all of that said, where do we think he falls?
Jeanty is weird. No, I'm kidding. Drew, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just gonna, for the folks at home, I was just gonna run down the draft order at least through the top 5. So if he is potentially gonna go top, like the precedent we set last time was that a lot of times it depends on where you go. So with that being said, it's the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, the Patriots, and the Jaguars. I mean, if he goes in the top 5, it's sounding like a lot like the quarterback discussion we had. He's probably going to need some help in the offensive line room. Out of those 5 teams, honestly, I don't even know who would have the best offensive line out of those 5. I don't know ball at the professional level.
None of the above.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like picking between a rock and a hard place. Who is getting a Teams call right now?
I don't know why I'm getting a call on Teams. Hold on. That's my bad.
No.
I will edit that out.
No, it's fine. I just got PTSD.
It's 8:15. I'm on the work laptop. Yeah,
dude,
I'm on
they
the
saw
work
you were
laptop.
online
That
and
scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Let's give B Nash a ring. Let's see what he's doing this
Can you
late.
get this out by the end of the day?
I think it's on my desk in 30 minutes.
Good Lord, yeah. Sorry for anybody out there listening who just got a little bit of PTSD.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I think that now Jeanty's the type of guy that will fight for his own yards. I think with historically speaking, the offense that would probably do pretty well would be the Browns, just because historically they've had Chubb. So they at least know how to use a franchise running back. And I don't know. I just hope he would stay healthy in that situation. But I mean, similar run style. Genty's a little bit more shifty, but like, I mean, as far as being able to be the guy, they have both shown that they have that ability. Yeah, I think at the most or at the least he's an RB1 wherever he goes. Gonna make an impact day one, and then I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to put anybody in generational, just due to the fact like Noah's. Was that I can't remember who said it, but like with just how running backs are being looked at in the league right now. I don't know. But what is a Genty shelf life? Is it 5 seasons? Is it
21.
10 seasons?
I thought he was
Sure.
like closer to 22, 23. He's only 21. So
That's good. That's
he
good.
stays
So
healthy. I don't know if the injury history is really there.
yeah,
It could be a pretty long shelf life.
10 seasons minimum, you think?
Maybe
Hopefully.
close to 10. I think average for running backs like 6 in the NFL. So I mean,
Mhm.
anything above that, I think you kind of get your return on investment.
You think the size is a problem?
How tall is he?
He's like 5'9", isn't he?
5'9", 215.
There have been little guys. I mean, Darren Sproles.
Kind of par for the course.
Yeah. I think I will say though, like we talk about running backs and the value of the position is ever changing. I actually think it's gonna start having an upswing, since the Bijan Robinson, what's his name? Jameer Gibbs draft.
Saquon.
They were both
Sure.
taken in the first round.
Oh yeah,
Both
yeah,
have
yeah.
paid off for the teams that drafted them. I would say, I mean, the team on my hat right now took Bijan, and he's the centerpiece of our offense, like bar none. I don't think he's going top 5. I think he's going to go probably to either the Raiders or the Bears. The Raiders are at like 6, and I think the Bears are at like 9 or 10.
Yeah, the Raiders
something like that.
6.
The
As of
Raiders with
yesterday, the Bears were at
Brock
10.
Powers.
Yeah, Raiders would be good.
Raiders would be a good fit. I think the Bears would be borderline scary just because who else is on that team? You got Caleb Williams, DJ Moore. Who's that wide receiver? Odunze is there. Just made a ton of acquisitions on the O-line. That would be the dream scenario if I were Ashton Genty. So
I doubt he falls all the way to 10, but yes, I agree with you. That would
running back is just such a luxury pick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
speaking from experience there.
Yeah, a little bit. I think he's far and away the best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson, and I think he's on that tier. I would call Bijan generational, and I think Genty also falls into that category. Just absolute stud. It's must-see TV every time he touches the ball.
Yeah. Can you define generational at the running back position for me? Like, is Nick Chubb generational?
Ooh.
Is Derrick Henry generational?
Yes. Derrick Henry is. I don't know about Nick Chubb. As we call like generational in terms of like prospects, I don't know if Nick Chubb was really generational just because he had, the devastating knee injury. But let me think. Saquon is like that generational prospect.
Sure. Like top 2 in their generation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure. And what is and are we considering like a generation like every decade ish?
3 to 5 years. Okay. And since the shelf life is kind of shorter for running backs, probably closer to like every 3 to 5 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. It could also be more of a vibe, like, if you think he's slotted more than just an RB1 on any team. Yeah. Someone who can kind of
control
be
the offense.
A star in the league even. I mean, run the offense through them, kind of like how I watched seeing Saquon this past year with the Eagles, that kind of thing, where you can just put him on your back. So, I mean, I think if any guy on this list would be generational, it's Genty probably.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, y'all swung me if we want to put him up there.
I'll be interested to see what capacity he's going to have in whatever offense he's drafted into, because Noah makes a good point. I mean, Bijan is just so involved in the Falcons offense, and you see Jameer Gibbs as well for the Lions. Those two guys going in the same draft class. I do think things are kind of starting to come back around on running backs potentially, because I still don't think it's going to be how it was before in the NFL. but I think the way that running backs are being used that is a bit different now, and figuring out different ways to run offenses through them.
Yeah, we're getting back to smash mouth football.
Yeah, I like it.
Establish the
I
run.
like All right, so we got Jinty and generational then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we can come back. We reserve the right to go back and change our
Yeah.
rankings. We did it last
Listen,
time.
Yeah,
This is our channel. We do what we want.
Yeah.
All right.
Rules.
subject to change as we talk out the rest of this list.
That's right.
Okay, Jinty and generational. Moving on. Let me know if it's. I guess this. I think it should be in the same order in my tier list in yours, because next I have Dylan Sampson, which earlier I was talking about putting some guys on here who maybe weren't the highest rated prospects in the draft, but were kind of interesting for us to talk about, because Dylan Sampson by no means is a bad running back.
No.
Had a lot of production this past season at Tennessee. Interesting year for Tennessee. Obviously they made the playoff, but kind of a team who has been who has made a living over the past few years with the airing it out, spreading the ball out, getting on the ball, going quick, just slinging it. This year, first year with Nico starting, ran a bit more through Sampson, was a bit more of their workhorse for Tennessee. 258 carries, almost 1,500 yards, average 5.8 yards a carry with 22 touchdowns. And then looking at his draft stock, this website has him a late second round draft projection, and also has him as the 5th best running back in this class. So I could definitely see him second or third. I mean, I don't think he'll be one of the first guys off the board by any means, but not a bad option. Someone who's battle tested, someone who's had a lot of carries in college. If you were to throw him in a rotation, he could probably hold his own. I don't think he's going to be drafted to be a RB1. I think he'll probably fall somewhere below that. But I still think he could be a solid back in the league. I don't know. Can't speak to his receiving ability. I guess I could look at the numbers real quick. But yeah, not really much to look at. So more of a pure running back, I guess you could say traditionally. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
So are we looking at initial placement or are we looking at potential? Hypothetically.
I mean, if we're going to say generational, we could probably kind of combine the both, because I understand what you're saying. He's not going to be drafted as an RB1, but we could say he could be an RB1 at one point in the league, right? So maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think, yeah, that's fair. Okay. Sweet. Thank you. Finish your spiel, please.
Yeah, no problem. Because, yeah, he's not going to be drafted as an RB1. I don't think that's really within question. I guess the question would be, could he be eventually? And obviously, there's a lot of factors that come into play. But looking at him like purely as a, just in a bubble, in a vacuum, I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of interesting the way that Tennessee's offense operated this last year. Like I said, kind of deviating from what they've done the past couple of years. So they leaned on him a lot. I don't know if whatever team he goes to is really going to lean on him that much. So I'm not sure.
I will say he might be the most fundamentally sound running back. He's a very good. I mean, we saw it. He won the SEC Player of the Year. So I think, heading into that, I'll speak on my bias. The Georgia-Tennessee game, I was very, very worried about him breaking some runs on us. He is very good at, with running backs, you always talk about feel, like being able to feel the rushing lanes develop. I think he's probably the best at that in this draft, if that makes any sense. I think he
is it a patience thing?
That round 2, round 3 grade. I like him a lot as a prospect. It's just a shame he went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he could be a gem in, late second, early third, even.
Diamond in the rough.
So.
That's true.
Yeah, I think, especially in the NFL, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of young running backs make is that the ball is in my hands, I've got to get upfield right now.
Yeah.
Because they're probably a little scared. Like, if I get tackled in the backfield, I'm not setting my team up for success, and coach will pull me, and like feel like they're on a short leash. But like as they get more comfortable in the position and more comfortable in the league, you do see like that feel and that letting the play develop in front of you kind of play out. And it seems like he already has that. Does anyone know how old he is, by the way?
I was about to say he was born in 2004.
Yeah.
And he ran a 4.42.
Okay, so
He's quick.
Okay.
young guy. Yeah.
He's 5'8". He's small. We were talking about size concern for Genty.
Yeah.
He's 5'8", 200. So a little bit on the smaller side, but he's fast.
He could probably be a great Michelle-esque.
I was gonna say a shorter Le'Veon Bell.
There you go. Well, I was just saying. Yeah, I was just saying, like, having the ability to come in, be a fresh set of legs, and be a dependable fresh set of legs.
I like that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sony Michel had a decent career in the NFL.
Yeah.
I don't
Scored touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Won some rings, right? So nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, obviously he was not RB1 really at any point. He was in a rotation.
Contributor, but not an RB1.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would be confident to at least say that Dylan Sampson would be, like a running back duo or, somebody who got switched in and out.
Totally.
RB1 might be a bit of a argument unless one of you wants to make it. Just with where he's being drafted. He doesn't strike me as someone who is going to like the league on fire, which I don't think he needs to. I mean, as long as he's productive for whoever he's drafted for, I think he could have a pretty decent career in the NFL.
You can make a lot of money just being on the roster.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he's definitely got a lot of potential. And like Noah was saying, he's got that ball carrier vision, which gets you a long way in the NFL, being an elite processor and decision maker goes a long way. So, and he definitely has a lot of experience after this past season. I mean, they leaned on him a lot this year with Tennessee. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with rotational. I think I think he's a good prospect, and I definitely, if my team were running back needy, maybe in need of a potential rotational piece, I would probably look his way. I think, I think if I were a running back needy team, he's a viable option.
Without reaching.
Yeah.
Rotational so he's a safer pick.
Potential to be more,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving. Okay, I'm looking at the prospect because I left a lot of the top guys off, so maybe we'll have to do another one. I just wanted to get the big names. So, Marion Hampton, North Carolina, and then Caleb Johnson, Iowa, 2 and 3. So maybe we'll talk about them later. But we got some other guys on here we'll talk about for the meantime.
Those two guys weren't. This is a college football channel. Those two guys, college football wise, were not the huge names. So like, cut us some slack if you're, an O'Marion.
We're trying to get clicks.
Yeah, exactly. We're going for the names.
A North Carolina fan or an Iowa fan. Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, which is exactly why I included this next man on the list. He had a breakout season as well, and I've just recently learned that I've been saying his last name wrong because apparently it's Skattebo, not Skattebo. I think Skattebo sounds a little better, but I think Boo is the official way to say it. Cam Skattebo, the star running back for the Arizona State Sun Devils, willing them to the playoffs this year, giving Texas all they could handle. Up until the very end and even past the very end of regulation. He's an interesting prospect. Let me get his stats up. So this past year for Arizona State, Scat Pack, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Nearly 300 carries, 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns. Looking at his draft grade currently, let me scroll down a little.
I think it's round 4.
I think
I'm looking at NFL.
It's fourth. Mhm.
Yeah.
He's a 4th round projection right now. This website has him as the 8th overall running back in this class. What else? 5'10", 219, ran a 4.65, 40, and this says he is a dual role back. So
I mean, yeah, the Arizona State offense did run through him, so yes. Man played quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Pretty sure he lined up at tight end a time or two. I mean,
he's dynamic.
yeah, I think,
He can do a little bit of
dynamic for
everything.
sure.
Those wing passes
Uh,
were lethal.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I remember, I think it was one in the Big 12 championship game that he took the distance. It was, I think
Yep.
it might have been the play to seal the game, actually. Yeah, he definitely has that burst on those swing passes and, flat routes. So he can definitely hurt there.
And he's also got like football IQ to a point because in the same game, Big 12 championship game, I saw a play where he was legitimately about to take like a 30-yard loss because the ball was snapped over his head. And since he lined up at quarterback in the Wildcat, he was able to attempt a pass and make it
throw it
second
away.
and 10. Yeah, and throw it away.
Most guys,
I mean, it
I don't know
looked
why
like
have not making that play.
Yeah.
no, looked like he was chucking a
won't do that.
grenade, but it was a pass attempt.
Ball went forward.
It ain't got to be pretty.
Yeah.
The ball passed the line of
exactly.
scrimmage, and he was outside of the pocket. So good for him. I don't know, man. See what sticks in my mind. I feel like the man's already got CTE, which is tough to say. Like, yeah. Which
Oh yeah, with the helmet.
I understand if like that's a way for you to get locked in or like get your helmet like sitting on your head correctly. I understand that, but like it just leaves an impression that his shelf life is going to be less than 3 years. I hope I'm wrong, but I think if he gets his bell rung, he could be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like it could be said for a lot of these guys who are, have been taking a heavier workload in college.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at his stats, he's been there since 2021. He's at least for this class a little bit on the older side. He's 23 years old, and didn't really have that much of a workload in 2021, but in 2022 took almost 200 carries, and every season following increase. Well, no, 2023 was 164, and then 2024 obviously was his biggest workload as a running back. So if we want to talk about that, yeah, I mean he's been put through the ringer a little bit. That's for sure.
I know that he actually lost like 30 pounds between his junior season and his senior season. So he could get faster because I think y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was sharing carries or being the rotational guy leading up to his senior year, and then the senior year
Correct.
he was the guy.
Yeah, it looks like his sophomore year, 2022, I'm sorry, I don't watch that much Arizona State football, so forgive me, but it looks like he might have been more of the guy in 2022. He took almost 200 carries and had almost 1,400 yards, and then that almost got cut in half in 2023 in terms of rushing yards. He got 164 carries. So, yeah, he might have dropped weight, even though technically, I mean, 4'6", 4? Still not slow by any means, but it's not afterburners.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of him. I mean, he screams like I see this in my mind. I don't know why it's a gut feeling. I just think 5 years from now, I'm gonna be scrolling on my phone and I'm gonna see like a Cam Scatabo in it, and I'm gonna be like, this dude was nuts.
With a sad song behind it.
Yes. Why didn't he work out in the NFL? Like, I just have a feeling that it's gonna happen. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It might be the speed
alone there.
thing. You need speed in the NFL, especially at the running back position. Bruisers don't last long either. Everyone's a hard hitter in the NFL. Everyone's fast. So
yeah, and I mean, even in the aspect of him being a quote unquote bruiser, I mean, he could be bigger. Cut down to 215. Not saying he can't, Mike linebacker in the A gap and lower his shoulders, but add that up over time. I'm interested to see, and it's the same for all these guys, who drafts them and how they use them. For me right now, looking at him, I don't think he's going to be drafted to start. He might get some rotations in. Be interested to see where it goes. For him right now, I'm between backup and rotational / second option. That's really where I see him.
I think I agree with that. I think his archetype as a whole is going extinct in the NFL. You don't see a lot of guys like him, Scatterbo, sorry. So yeah, I mean, he, for lack of a better term, he's a novelty prospect from a bygone era, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards backup. That will probably, like, his goal. I hate to say it, but I think his goal is going to be to last in the league for 5 years on an active roster, so he can catch a pension. And then,
yeah, man. I mean, that's all you need to do. And plus, get out of your rookie contract or right around there, and
because
invest that wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to call him a bust because he's projected to go in the.
He's not highly rated enough.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree.
The hit rate on late round running backs has not been very high. So you got to kind of have that building as one of the top prospects to really be able to bust.
Yeah. Yeah. Pause.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm cool with him in backup.
Yeah.
Backup.
Cool with that.
Yeah, I think that's probably where he's best slotted, at least for what we've talked about now. But anyways, we have a nice little spread. A guy in each category, or different categories so far. So I like a little bit of variety. And then we're going to end it off with the dynamic duo from the Ohio State University, the reigning college football national champions. Starting off with the man who has been there a little bit longer with the program, Mr. TreVeyon Henderson. And let me make sure I have his stats up. We'll run through those real quick. Obviously, him and the next man we're going to be talking about, Quinshon Judkins, transfer from Ole Miss, split carries this past season. So in 2024, TreVeyon Henderson had 144 carries for just over 1,000 yards, averaging 7.1 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns. And when it comes to the draft, he is projected, my information that I have could be, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but he is saying he's a late second round pick. He's the 4th rated running back in the draft, 5'10", 202. I didn't know he was that small. Or at least weight-wise. I thought he was a little bigger.
Yeah.
He runs bigger.
Yeah.
And he ran a 4.43. So kind of measurables are kind of comparable to Dylan Sampson almost. I think Sampson's even a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So anyways, what do we think?
This comp is interesting. I'm on NFL.com. His comp is Aaron Jones. That is very intriguing.
That's a generous comp. In my opinion, that's a generous comp. But
that's valid.
Yeah, fantasy football legend.
True.
Aaron Jones.
How is TreVeyon's receiving? Is he?
Let me see what he had.
This write-up says Henderson isn't Jahmyr Gibbs, but can operate in a similar role for teams looking to add a more dynamic player to their running back room.
Yeah, he had 27 receptions for 284 yards in 2024. Okay. So he has the capacity to be. I mean, he was the one that caught that like really long screen pass for a touchdown in the national championship.
That's
right?
over 10 yards an attempt, isn't it?
It is 10.5 yards an attempt. His long being 75, which I'm assuming is that screen pass in the national championship, and one touchdown, which was also that screen pass in the national championship. So that definitely helped his receiving stats.
Yeah, that helps.
That's for sure. But can't fault him for that. So, I mean, yeah, he's interesting. I mean, yeah, maybe like a Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of guy. It's just watching his play style doesn't really strike me like a Jahmyr Gibbs personally. I don't know.
I think people are praising his ability as a pass blocker, which is a very, very valuable trait in the NFL.
Sure.
I'll praise
For good reason.
Bijan Robinson for that. He has excelled in pass blocking for the Falcons, which therefore adds to his value even more. But I think Henderson, I don't know, man. For me, it all depends on landing spot because he could, get drafted to a team with a terrible offensive line, fizzle out in 3 years, or he could get drafted to a team with one of the better offensive lines in the league and become an RB1 and blossom. It is really such a large variability. Like he doesn't have a ton of like the generational traits that we see with Genty, but he's just solid pretty much everywhere. So I think there's a large kind of variability for what he could become.
I would agree. I didn't know he ran a faster 40 than Judkins. It's kind of surprising.
Really?
Maybe I don't know ball.
Huh.
I thought he was more the bruiser in that backfield, but I guess I didn't watch that much
His
Ohio
play
State
style,
football.
he does not shy away from contact.
No,
He doesn't. But I mean,
but apparently
maybe he's
fast.
not exactly what I thought he was. So
Yeah. I mean, so it sounds like he's kind of being tethered, at least amongst the three of us, to Samson. So my question is, what's the differentiator between him and Samson? The fact that Samson wasn't splitting carries?
yeah, I think that plays into it.
I think I like him more than
so-
Samson because that usage, he doesn't have that mileage that Samson does. Having
Yeah.
Judkins in that backfield, I mean, we saw this with Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel. They kind of took that feature back mileage off of one another,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of college teams are moving more towards, at least your, premier elite programs who can, recruit at a high clip for multiple guys in the same room. So, yeah, I mean, if we're talking about him versus Samson, I think they're very similar. I think I might agree with Noah. I might like him a little bit more just because of, not stuff that necessarily has to do with play style or all knowledge or anything, but just because he has a little less mileage on him. I'm trying to see
how about the ages?
How old he is.
Samson was younger, yeah? Or younger-ish. I don't know if he's younger than...
Judkins is a senior. Samson, I think, was a junior.
Let's see.
But
He is
like
22. He's 22.
22. Okay, so... All right.
2 years older than Samson? Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe 1.5, but yeah. Depending on birthday.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. He has a very similar feel to Samson for me, so I don't know if I could justify putting him in RB1 if we're sitting here having this conversation, splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Between him and Samson, I guess we could, put him above in that tier if we want to really get specific. But, I mean, a guy who's being drafted right now, projected in the late second round, probably not going to be RB1 immediately. Going to kind of have to prove it. And, like we've said before, it really boils down to where you end up at. And the situation, really. I mean, you could start somewhere and then, be traded or, walk from your rookie deal and end up down the line becoming an RB1. Who knows? But for him right now, I feel like rotational / second option would probably be a safe bet, at least for me personally.
I like that.
Yeah.
You rocking with that?
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds good.
There we go. All right. Well, we can go ahead and round out this tier list with his teammate, Quinshon Judkins. First year away from Ohio State, Ole Miss coming in this past offseason. Had 194 carries, 1,060 yards, averaging 5.5 yards per carry and 14 touchdowns. I'm looking at his draft profile here. I believe he's also a late second round draft projection. So kind of hard to put a pulse on who he might end up with. And Judkins ran a 4.48 40. He's ranked as the sixth best running back in this draft class. And he's a little bigger, 6 feet tall, 221 pounds. So, I hate how some of these have the age and some don't. I think he's a junior, so he's probably, 21, 22 maybe. So what do we think?
Is it weird I'm feeling bust? Just looking at the
It's not
splits,
ridiculous to say that.
but
It's
just
not crazy.
hear me out. Just looking at the splits, let me pull up his stats.
He's 21, by the
In
way,
comparison,
born in 2003.
I don't know.
I just
he led the
I
Judkins
feel
is
like-
interesting to me.
Yeah.
I've never been. I'm not going to say he's bad because he's not, but the way he was being talked about at Ole Miss before he transferred, I never really thought that he lived up to the hype. Not saying that he's a bad back, not saying that at all, but I can see the argument that maybe he's not all he's chalked up to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have serious. It might just be because Ole Miss is my second favorite team, but I have serious questions about a guy who leaves a program that's on the up and up and runs to a perennial powerhouse.
Chasing him back.
Which listen,
Mhm.
listen, I get it, right? Like from a finance, like I'm a CPA, I get the finances, right? But I don't know. It just, if I'm a GM, it just makes me question, right? Like, can this guy genuinely buy into the team?
I mean, I think that's a
Like-
valid concern.
So I don't know. Like, could he have attitude problems? I don't know Quinshon Judkins. I'm sure he's a good guy, but I mean, he's a really good running back. We all know that. I mean, he's for a minute there, he was the most broken player in NCAA.
Yeah.
So
Did they ever release a patch for that spin move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that shit was crazy in the beginning.
It was broken for like 3 or 4 weeks though.
It's crazy.
Oh,
We lost him.
I think Brandon's gonna go check on that spin move.
Yeah.
Oh.
There he is. He's
Good?
wired it.
Didn't
Yep.
you see me?
Your
That was
mic's
weird.
coming in a little
Whatever.
hairy, but
Yeah, audio's a little weird, but I mean, we can hear that you're talking. Yes.
true.
Probably through my headphones. 1 second. It probably sounds like it's through a Nintendo 3DS. Hold on. Yeah.
It wasn't that
All right,
funny,
this should
but it was
be-
funny to me.
Where'd it go?
That's better. Sounds like. Doo-doo.
All right, let's see Judkins. I'm gonna ad lib it. The
There you go.
NFL.com comparisons. Joe Mixon. That
Okay.
seems about right. I don't know if he'll have the career arc of Joe Mixon. He's got all the pieces.
Hopefully not the personal life arc.
Yeah, probably
Sorry.
not. Hopefully not. Jeez.
Anyways, sorry.
Good God.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it would be a success if he had the on the field success of Joe Mixon.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think based on hype, if we're going based off of hype, I think he could be in bust category. But
Man, I'm not
honestly-
gonna complain about putting somebody in the bust category.
yeah, I mean,
Someone needs
worst
to be there.
case-
No.
I mean, statistically speaking, at least he's gonna be a backup, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I think him being
At
a backup
least
in the league would count as
Would
a
be
bust.
a bust
you're-
for him.
He's
if
got
you're
round
seeing the
2
field-
grade. A round 2 pick can be a bust.
Yeah, I mean, if you're seeing the field less than 25% of the time as Quinshon Judkins, you're a bust. I'm sorry. That's really all I gotta say.
I agree, I think. Yeah.
Screw it. Put him in bust. Yeah, I mean,
I like
that's a
it.
good point with I don't know. He's got a lot of buzz and probably rightfully so for his his play on the field at Ole Miss, and then obviously did what he did at Ohio State and won a national championship. kind of continues to grow. But I don't know if I see anything crazy for him. No, I like him in bust. That's for sure.
Cool.
All right.
Somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
sorry, Quinshon. Well, thank you for watching. That's our rankings of the running backs for the 2025 class, this upcoming draft class. We're gonna save wide receivers for next week, so stick around for that. We're gonna be doing it on live, 7:30 on Tuesday, tentatively, but that's the goal. So we'll post about it on the socials. It'll be hard to miss, but that's the goal right now. We're gonna talk about that. We ended this past live stream just shooting the shit, talking about college football in general. So if you're interested in that kind of thing at all, please feel free to stick around, subscribe, like. Community engagement means a lot to us. Y'all are the reason why we get into it, is to have discussions about the sport that we love. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the live stream. If you did at any point, we appreciate you.